I got a very strong urge on my heart to make this, and I really hope that it helps somebody. We really hope that it helps somebody. I am not going to be I'm sure there's going to be switching and blending in this video. There already is. It's already two of us with a third passive influence talking. But I'm not going to go and get into who each one of us are, because that's a lot. That's a lot right now. But it's more of what I wanted to say. March, coming up March, April or March, will be a year since we have been professionally diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder. After years of therapy and multiple hospitalizations, we finally figured out that, there's some other things going on, but the thing that we just couldn't place, the thing that I didn't know what was going on, I felt like I was losing my mind, I couldn't explain all these things, dissociative identity disorder. And I've learned a lot. We have learned a lot and been through a lot in that almost year period, because then, there was the inkling of, before we got diagnosed, you don't go get diagnosed without you thinking, well, you can. People be like, oh my God, and there's cases like that. But for us, we had a feeling that that's could be what it was. We did a lot of research and a lot of talking with our therapist. In fact, we're at our therapy place right now, waiting for a session. And I had a feeling that I should have come earlier before my appointment, and I did. And right before I got here, I was like, that's a really, I wish when I was doing my research, I wish when I was looking up all these YouTube videos, as helpful as everything was, I wish that there was something like what I'm about to do, because it's such a, I don't know, it's a blendy subject. There's things that go in as so much stuff overlaps. To me personally, there's this and then there's that when it comes to D.I.D, because to an extent it all just kind of, and a lot of people think that it's I don't know, I'm going to get into it, but this is mainly, I'm making this for other systems, for other people that are questioning if they are a system, because that is a very scary and very overwhelming place to be at. And it's even more so because you can't really talk to many people about it unless you have someone you're really comfortable, because if you go to talk to somebody about it, you're sitting down and saying, hey, I think I'm multiple people, and then you have to explain what that means to you and what you're feeling. And that's if your brain, if your dissociative amnesia, if the very thing that wants you to keep, because that's another thing, this disorder does not want you to heal. It doesn't want you to know. It goes against the very nature of talking about it. I don't know, I kind of lost my train of thought, but this is what I mean. It's hard to talk about it sometimes, because sometimes you really don't even remember what you're supposed to talk about, or you'll go and you'll have a conversation, you'll think you got all your points across, but the moment the conversation ends and the moment you don't have access to whoever you're talking to, whatever you're writing or whatever, the original inspiration, the original thought comes back, and you realize that you completely left it out. And, or at least in my experience, and some others that I've heard, it's not uncommon. But I wanted to talk about tips and reassurance when it comes to, if you're already diagnosed, if you're trying to figure out if you are, but things that may help and that have helped us, and reassurance that may help and has helped us. The first thing being is you are not faking. If you can remember other alters, other parts, other system members, we normally interchange between system members and people and alters. We sometimes use parts, but anyway, if you remember some of the memories from when someone else switches in, you're not faking. You're not faking. And it's so normal to bleed. It's so normal to have memory bleeding, or like if something triggers someone near the front, and then you'll just all of a sudden, or like something with us that was like, oh, we don't forget things because the moment we see something that reminds us, we remember. That is self contradicts itself. I didn't think that I had any complete blackouts in my memory until I got diagnosed and I started delving in, and because after I got diagnosed, that's when I really allowed myself to believe that I was a system, because even though deep down I already knew, I didn't feel like I was allowed to know until I got my diagnosis, because of the way that people handle people that fake this disorder. I didn't feel like I was allowed to know. I didn't feel like I was allowed to be a system until a doctor told me that I was a system, which was an extremely hard place to get to just to begin with. And if you're on that journey right now, then I'm sure that you know, or if you've been diagnosed, I'm sure that you know that it's not an easy thing to get a doctor to acknowledge what you're dealing with. And then I blacked out, or zoned out. What was I about to say? Fuck. Oh no. But like, oh yeah, I didn't think that I had anything going on that my brain had completely covered up until I got diagnosed, accepted I was a system, and then when I accepted I was a system, I did system members, alters, whatever you want to call them, they started the people in my system that we all share, the system that we share. I try to be clear for their sake that I don't own them. That is a big part. It was like, they are not my alters anymore. I'm not there. We are our own, and we work together, and then, you know, that blending, that healing, that integration will come naturally if it chooses to come, which is the way that we personally handle things. I am not a doctor. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not certified in anything besides I have lived experience and a couple of years of therapy behind my back, but I don't have any credentials. So, you know, keep that in mind. Go talk to a doctor, a therapist. If I'm not here to diagnose anybody, but that's when I realized that I had an awareness to realize I did not have an inkling of memory of so much, especially childhood stuff. I realized that 13 to 16 years old was a fucking blur, and that's because there was a different host at the time. Because another thing about the system I'm in is that we have like 2 hosts, and I'm one of them. I'm kind of both of them, but then, you know, and then we have some people behind us, and it's a very layered thing. Because I also learned I'm a polyfragmented system. This brain is a polyfragmented system, which is a whole nother can of worms to undo. But the whole point is for you to not remember certain things, and for you not to remember that you forgot. Like, that you're not supposed to know you're forgetting things. You're not supposed to know that you are getting things blacked out. It goes against the very nature of the disorder. Someone just called me. I don't even know who it was. It was a spam number. It cut off my video, and I'm not happy about it. But, is that better? I don't know. So yeah, like, memory is such a fickle subject when it comes to it. So if you remember things that you feel like you shouldn't remember, or don't remember, like, if you remember some things, it doesn't mean that you don't have D.I.D. I guess is essentially what I was trying to say, because I would remember certain system members' memories sometimes, or like see through their eyes, and I'm like, oh, well, that's a whole memory I don't have. Yes, I do. Yes, we do. But it was something that I would use to gaslight myself out of my feelings and out of thinking that I had it. Another thing is, it's okay if you don't know the names of your system members. It's normal. It's normal. It takes a while. It takes work, because I've been diagnosed with other stuff in the past, but the thing with D.I.D. is that you have to consistently put in work to get better. You have to take the time to talk to your headmates. You have to take the time to introduce yourself, to state your intentions, to listen to the voices in your head, and just like I said, just listen, because there's so many roles and when it comes to system members too. Even if it is aggressive, even if it is hostile, try your best to not be scared. That's another thing. Try your best to not be scared of your system members, because when you were kids, that most people that have this, we're always ingrained in you're evil, you're bad, or I don't want it. Like, it is hard, but it is also crucial to not keep instilling those same beliefs into yourselves. You instilling that thing of you're bad, you're scary, you're unacceptable. It's not going to help you. It's not going to help your system. But it is hard. It's something that I'm still working on. But even with the ultras, they call persecutors, which we don't use that word. We don't like that word. But to get the point across of what I'm trying to say, I'm going to use it. But even with those types, even the ones that are really hurt and don't know how to express themselves, try your very best to not be scared. And journaling helps a lot. Music has helped us a lot. That's another thing. Try to establish tiny little places where you can have individuality. Letting us express our individuality has helped us a lot. Like, a lot. Like, we each have our own playlist on Spotify. We have our own playlist on YouTube. Who is speaking, I pick out most of our clothes, but system members that tend to front every once in a while and handle more stuff, I make sure that they have an outfit or two that they feel comfortable in, that if they ever front and they want to change clothes and they're not comfortable in my clothes, they have their own clothes. And I'm not saying go ball out on a wardrobe for each one of your alters, but I am saying that if you are a feminine part like me, and you may have a co-host like me who is a man, make sure that he has a outfit or two if he comes out and he wants to feel more comfortable, which we've gotten to a place where we all kind of feel more comfortable. We feel comfortable with what I normally wear, but you can tell that it is appreciated. Yeah, it is. They're telling me, like, they appreciate when you take the time to make sure they have some things of their own. Some other stuff is, I have a dissociative identity disorder workbook. This has helped so fucking much. You have no idea. And even though we don't fill it out and use it as often as we should, it has helped a lot. I'm not going to show you pages we have filled out, but there are 50 pages in here at the beginning of the book that give you room to write the name, the age, birthday, all of this information, likes, dislikes, what type of alter, and a place for notes of each person in the system gets their own page. There is mood trackers, there's prompts to help with like gratitude and being thankful, like when you get in those really, really like suicidal places. Mindfulness, things that provoke mindfulness. And that's another tool I cannot stress enough. Mindfulness. We just came out of this very, very suicidal point in our life that lasted a long time. We had 2 hospitalizations in 2023 alone, and we've been through a lot. And there was a point after my last hospitalization was horrible. It didn't help me at all. I can make a whole other thing about how it was so bad. It was so bad. But I was like, this isn't working anymore. I can't fucking do this. What do I need to do? And basically, for me, it was radical life changes, like not being on social media, taking myself, my brain out of these places where there's so much triggering stuff, so much people that I don't want to see or talk to, or all of these different mental moves that you have to make, the lack of attention span, because this is dissociative identity disorder. When you are chronically disassociative, you are not being mindful, you're not being present, because your brain is forcing you to be out, because that is what kept you safe when you were a kid. But it's starting to get safe for me to be mindful now, and I don't want to be disassociated to the point that my vision is blurry all the time. So consciously consuming anything that you can consume, whether it's media, food, whatever, taking time where I can just sit inside of my brain. I'll eat and I'll try to have a conversation, and just finding that time to be mindful is so important. I gotta see what time it is because I don't want to miss my therapy appointment. Oh, I'm still good. I got 10 minutes, and she's normally a little late, so it's okay. Plus, if I told her what I was doing, I know she would understand. But yeah, the D.I.D book has helped a lot. You can do this with just a regular notebook. We tried, but this is just so much simpler for us, having already drawn out templates. It gives us a space that's already there, to be safe. So like mood charts, and something I like, that this isn't your normal everyday the DBT mood chart. This has symptoms, like places for DID, OSDD, specific things like amnesia and memory problems today, yes or no. A triggered switch, yes or no. An emotional hangover from a switch, yes or no. Like, see if there's any other in here. But there's just, it's really good. Like, did you take your medication today? It has a place for you to put your medication, your dose, and yes, I took it today, or no, I didn't. Like, keeping track of that kind of stuff. Like, did you do school today? Did you go to work today? Did you exercise? Like, whatever you do, there's a place to say, yes, I did, or I did not do it. And that's really nice when you're trying to keep track, because there are some days where we are so switchy, I can't remember if the body is eaten or not, or if literally anything. Sometimes I don't even remember if we've used the bathroom, and you would think that my body would tell me that, and that wouldn't be a thing. But with us personally, like, body sensations do not carry over. We each have unique bodily sensations. So like, say alter A needs to go to the bathroom so bad, about to piss their pants, I probably would be alter A in this situation. Then somebody else will switch in, and they won't need to piss their pants, and they'll function a little more in this body that really needs to go to the bathroom, and then it'll switch to me, and by the time it switches back to me, I've done about pissed my pants. Like, that kind of thing. Like, that's just an example. I feel like I'm going on an extra tangent now, but I don't know. But essentially, too, one of the things that I wanted to say is that if you are in this place of trying to figure out what the fucking hell is going on inside of your mind, you're not alone. And you will figure it out. If it is DID, if it is OSDD, if it is or if it isn't, if it is anywhere on that spectrum or if it isn't. One, I'm proud of you just for trying to figure it out. But two, it's hard. It's really hard, and you know, all you can do is your best. And I guess another thing is, yes, doctors, yes, therapists, yes, research, all of that is crucial and so important, but also the answers are inside of yourself. Like, you're not gonna watch a YouTube video, and this may be something I just did, but not gonna watch a YouTube video of somebody else with DID, and they're not gonna tell you the answers for your system. the very personal parts of being a system, as in like names, birthdays, memories. They definitely can give you tools. I would not be where I am today without system YouTube channels. I am so thankful, and that I've noticed that there has been an utter lack of it, because basically everyone was bullied off the internet for faking. But even though they weren't, but there's been a lack, and I don't like that lack. And as much as I would like to watch someone else, I figured I could help the lack, because I feel like there is a need for it, and people don't talk about it because it's not something that's really talked about. And I'm someone that does believe that D.I.D is underdiagnosed, because there's so many like phrases and stuff, I would say, when I was a kid. They're just like common phrases, but looking back, it was me trying to explain an experience of being a system. Like, I feel like completely different people right now. It's because I was. Or like, I remember one time I mentioned to my mom, like, do you notice my voice changes when I talk about this? And that's another thing. You can have awareness to certain parts' behaviors and not be that part, and still have this. That's okay, and that's normal. But like, holy shit, holy fucking shit, it's just a lot. I'm getting like switchy blendy, so I don't know, I'm kind of losing my train of thought. One more thing is just a practice I thought in, because I just realized this is probably why I'm losing my memory, is that on the way to therapy, I'll go inside, not literally, I'm still looking at the road, but like mentally, I'll go inside and I'll just be like, hey guys, driving to therapy. If anyone wants to talk to our therapist, we'll be there in like this amount of time. And just think about what you want to do. And if they want to, they will. If your parts want to, they will. That's enough. You cannot ignore it. You can't ignore it. And that's something that I've come into recently. Something that I've been learning. Like, I knew it, but like firsthand, like hands-on learning it, is you can't ignore your parts, your alters, your system members, the people living in your headmates, whatever you want to call them. You can't ignore them, because if you do, they will come out. They'll figure out ways to come out. Like, you don't have... You can't just stay in the front forever. Like, one of us can't just stay in the front forever, and you can't just keep neglecting the needs of other system members while you thrive, whether it's malicious intent or not. Like, for me, it was not. I thought if I could fix myself, everything else would fall into place, and in a way it did, but in another way, I kind of had a whole system explosion switching thing happen, because it's like, what the hell, you haven't checked in 3 months, you haven't let us out in 2-3 months, you've pushed us back, with the exception of like a few that just pushed their way through, whether I wanted it or not. And so you got to work together. It's quite literally like you have to work as a team, and you have to work with these different aspects of selves. So yeah. And but I have to go to my therapy appointment, and there's somebody that is very excited about going to this therapy appointment. But yeah, I really hope this helps someone, and that it wasn't too rambly, and that it was okay to understand, like fairly easy to understand. But yeah, bye bye.